here's alignment, center, justified, this sort of thing are all within this area. But as I mentioned before, you can go in here as well and add animation. So in this case, I have fade. So I can pick one of these fades, for instance, that fade there. And as I scroll through the title, you'll notice now it's going to fade on, just like that. And that's all you have to do is you pick the title and you go into your animation capabilities and you pick fade and it applies it. You have different types of animations. For instance, you have different types of fades, letter by letter, word by word, line by line. You have moving paths as well, that you can have different types of moving paths in that. And you can just keep going through. You pick the ones you want, and they'll come on in the way that you want to show them. And again, this is all in real time, and you can add effects and titles all at the same time. Okay, let's go like this. Let's go down to the end of this template here. So for instance, if I go down to the end, and let's go in here and say, for instance, I want to go from, I have my start with the titles. I have a sort of a flashy sort of intro at the beginning here, but then I want to go into to full video, for instance. What I would do is I'd go into this placeholder here, this last one, and I would put in, for instance, photos. So let's use my last photo. Okay, just go to Photos. And pick the last photo and just grab a photo, drag it into there, hold down Control, and there's my cactus flower. And say I wanted to go into some video. So what I can do here, for instance, is take this photo. I'll stretch this out right to here, okay? And I will double click on this. And what I want the new blue effect to do is I want it to go full screen at the end of this photo. So let me just customize this. And you'll notice here we have the keyframes. And I'll go to right here and I'll say, okay, I want a keyframe right here. And then I want it to go quickly into full screen mode. So to add a keyframe here, I just adjust anything inside of the new blue dialog. So for instance, there I've done that. It's added a keyframe. And on this last keyframe, I want to change that. So let's go and make that full screen. I will say reset to none. Make sure the positioning up here in the top of the new blue dialog is in the center. This is where you position your window. And as you come through here, you'll notice now that I have it going from here and going to full screen. That's what I like to do. So then I have like this, going to full screen. There's a title coming up, Cactus Flower. I can change that if I like. And then in the last moment, it'll go like this to full screen. So I want to have a video sort of go between these two here. So let me go to video. Now before that, let me a color piece in the back here. So it's so we have an idea of going from one video to another. So for instance, there'll be a crossfade right there. It'll be going to black. That's what I like to do. And then I'll go up to my videos and find another video. And say, for instance, our video is totally unrelated to vacations. I will drag that into the timeline here. Now, by default in VideoStudio, you can change a number of your preferences. In my overlay tracks, I have a preference right now that says, let's make my video quarter size for picture-in-picture. You can change all of that within your settings. I can go up here to my preferences, and I'll say, for instance, in editing, use fit to screen as the default size in the overlay track. I turn that off because I usually use a lot of picture-in-pictures. But in this case, let's make it go full screen. To do that, I just double-click on my clip, and I go to Alignment Options, and I'll say Fit to Screen. Now there's my video fitting to screen. Okay. Next thing I want to do is put a transition in. So let me just use a crossfade and pop that in. And you'll notice now it goes from this really funky intro into a crossfade to my race car. And then I can just keep going through my production as I like. Say, for instance, in my production, I can also go in here, and you'll notice it's a very free-form way of doing video editing. Without a lot of complexity, you can do some pretty neat things. It really helped, for instance, I wanted to have a very similar effect with a picture over my video. So here, I really like this effect here, this one with this frame moving around. So what I want to do is add that to an overlay track to overlay my video right here. So you'll notice I have 2 tracks of video. I want to add yet another track, so I can just go up here and say, let me give another overlay track. And right away, another overlay track appears. What I can do then is go to this place that I really liked. I'll say copy. And I'll go down here and I'll say, let's just paste that over top of my car. And so now, as my video is playing, then it goes over top of my car, and there's that picture. So for instance, say you have a number of snapshots of a particular moment in the video, and you want to use that. But again, it's not cactus inside of here, it's more of a race car. So I can go in here and I can replace this photo within this frame. Let me go back to my photos and find that's something that's a little bit more appropriate. Here's one that's a little bit more appropriate. We'll take that and we'll download that here, drag that on there, and right away you'll notice that you have a really cool slideshow over top of your video. Now you can put video into those frames as well, and you can just bang down through your timeline very, very quickly. Say for instance, I don't like the size of this one. I want it to be a little bit smaller. I double click on the overlay track, and we do have positioning adjustments here. I can go in and I can scale that, pop that right here, just like that. And if I scroll through here, I get immediate result. And you'll notice when you're working with VideoStudio, it's so fluid you can stay creative the whole time. Now, okay, so I want to have another picture do the same thing, right? I want to have a picture right in here, a picture here. So I'll say, I need another overlay track. Let me just click on that, add another overlay track, and another one opens up. I right-click on here, and I'll say copy, and it'll allow me to put it anywhere I want on my timeline. So say, for instance, I'll put it a little staggered in the time, a little further down the timeline right here. And there I have one picture coming on and the next one coming on, but oh, I don't want them to come on top of each other. Maybe you do, I don't know. But I'll click on that one and I'll say, let's move that here. Okay. Have it just like that. And as I'm scrolling through here, bam, one picture and another picture. And again, everything's in place. We just go in here and drag this the way we want it to correct it. The nice thing is you can have someone sitting over your shoulder while you're working and saying, hey, that looks cool, that looks cool. So you'll find that your creativity really comes through in this stuff. It's very, very cool. Okay, so I just received a question about a Canon Vixia HF S100. Okay, so I don't know every camera off by model name, but I believe that camera is MPEG-4 format video files, and yes, we do support those. You can always look at our website and take a look at the compatible cameras. One thing I want to note as I'm doing this is that because so many cameras are now introducing video, that is for us a lot of work to be able to make compatibilities. That is one of the reasons that we have this patch come out. We've had in the last few months, we've had a number of new cameras show up on the marketplace that we've had a little bit of issue with. And so what we did is we turned around and we support them very quickly, and then the patch comes out and voila, they work for you. So just as a note, you should just call our support line or look on our FAQ, and more than likely we'll be able to support your camera. So here I have two pictures over top of this. Again, you know, very, very quickly, let me pick the second picture. I want to change that. I don't want the same picture happening there. Let's go back to my photos and say, for instance, this is a race that was happening somewhere, and everybody got tired of it, and they ended up going to Bryce Canyon. I have two photos, and you'll notice that that you're scrolling here, you're scrolling and banging around, no issue. The file that I have in the overlay here, in the main overlay track, that file with the Red Bull car back here, that is a high-def file that was shot with a Panasonic camera, and that is 1440 high-def. So it's a pretty intense file, H.264. The pictures are PNG files. And the scrolling, panning, all the effects are all happening in generally real time.